Hi, my name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm a Cavoodle puppy coach and breeder for Cavoodle Way and River City puppies. As a coach, my philosophy is simple. A Cavoodle should always complement your lifestyle, not complicate it. And this is the foundation to everything I teach. For almost the past decade, I have been working in the breeding, training, grooming, and veterinary sectors of the small animal industry. I've also been raising Cavoodles for the past 16 years, so I have definitely learned a thing or two about the breed along the way. Now this podcast is all about Cavoodles. Raising Cavoodles, training Cavoodles, grooming Cavoodles, breeding Cavoodles, and how to shape the behaviour of a Cavoodle puppy. So if you're a Cavoodle parent or you are looking at adding a Cavoodle to your family soon, then this podcast is for you. New episodes will be released each Tuesday morning and you can follow me across all social media under the name @OodleWay for more tips and advice on Cavoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome back to episode 33 of the Cavoodle Coach podcast. My name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm your host. I wanted to talk about an interesting topic today, and it's brought to light by a conversation I had last week in one of my Q&A calls with some Cavoodle families who are part of my Cavoodle Puppy Planner program. And we were talking about the work involved with raising a Cavoodle. And one of the ladies in there mentioned how before she was getting her puppy, her Cavoodle puppy, she was under this belief that Cavoodles were easy because they're the perfect mix between the very laid-back Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, but they have the clever, intelligence from the poodle, and they don't shed, and they're the perfect family dog, and they're so easy. And this just like sparked a light bulb in my head, and I was like, yes. People do believe Cavoodles are easy, and there is this big belief going around that Cavoodles are the best breed there is for families and they're easy. And so many families get Cavoodles believing this because most families are busy, but they do want a dog for their children or for themselves, and they want a lap dog and they want a cuddly dog, but also one that's intelligent. And then they get their puppy and that's not really the case. So I want to talk about the biggest misconception about Cavoodles out there, and that is that they are easy dogs, and they are not. Well, let me clarify. They're not easy puppies. No puppy is easy, but they're easy dogs if they are raised correctly. Like in the long run, once your Cavoodle is older, once you have finished shaping their behavior and you've gone through all of their training, and if you've done it right and you've done it correctly and you've done training specific to the breed that is designed to reduce the behavioral issues that are so common to them, such as all of those anxieties, separation anxiety, social anxiety, novelty anxiety, startle anxiety. If you do the proper training to reduce that anxiety and those behavioral issues, Cavoodles are really an easy, beautiful breed to have. But yeah, they're not easy up front, and no dog is. A puppy is hard work. A puppy is a time commitment, a time sacrifice, and they require a lot of work. And I want to propose a question to you. And my question is, when you're getting a puppy, you have to choose your hard. And what I mean by that is a puppy can be hard if they are not sleeping through the night. They get you up every hour. If they are having toileting accidents all through the house, if they're chewing your furniture, digging in your garden, if they bite your ankles every time they're around you, if they bark at you for attention, if they're just constantly crying and you can't leave the house without them just being so anxious that they start destroying things, that's hard. That's a hard puppy. But what is also hard is if you do train them. Training is hard. Training a puppy is hard work. It takes time sacrifice. And it's also going to be hard, but you're choosing your hard. You have to choose which option you want to take. You either take the option where you don't follow any sort of training plan designed for Cavoodles, you don't meet their needs, and if you're not meeting their needs, then your puppy is going to have all of these quote naughty puppy behaviors, and they'll have long-term behavioral issues, and that's going to be really hard. And that's going to be really hard for the next 15 years you have your dog. But if you choose the other path, the other hard path, which is dedicating the time every day with your puppy to train them properly, to reduce their behavioral issue, the possibility of them having behavioral issues by building their confidence, reducing their anxiety, making sure you learn how to communicate to your puppy so there's no miscommunication, making sure your cavoodle has all of their needs met, they're getting the right sleep, the right socialization, the right desensitization, the right enrichment, that you're actually spending time dedicated to training them and shaping their behavior and not just teaching them how to sit and lie down and stay like they do in puppy school. If you choose this route, this hard route, which does require a lot of time commitment, all of this training requires a time commitment. It's hard at first. There will be a few months of hard work where you are choosing to prioritize your puppy. You're prioritizing raising them as best as you can and setting them up for success. But then once you get through that hard work, those few months of hard work, you do get left with the most beautiful cavoodle who does complement your lifestyle and doesn't complicate it, as I always say. And you are left with a cavoodle that is easy. So it's hard work in the beginning. It's hard work for the first few months if you follow the right training schedule for your puppy. But then you're left with a really well-behaved, calm, loyal, attentive cavoodle who is really easy to have within your home. Or if you don't choose to do that and you go down the other route and you get a cavoodle puppy and you think that they're easy and they don't need training, then you're going to deal with, like I mentioned before, sleepless nights, toileting accidents, chewed furniture, puppy biting on your ankles, jumping all over the kids, barking at strangers, reactivity on the lead, and then that's going to extend for 15 years. And that's going to be having a hard dog for 15 years. So yeah, I wanted to just make a little episode talking about that big misconception. Cavoodles are not easy. You will not catch me saying they are easy. A puppy is always going to require a time commitment. And when you have a time commitment and you make that sacrifice, and you no longer have all that spare time in the day that you might have had before your puppy, that's going to be really hard. And not everyone is going to be prepared for that at the stage of life they're in. So it's really important that when you are thinking about getting a puppy, that you are aware that it's going to be a really big time commitment for the first few months. And that if you put in the hard work in the beginning and really show your puppy how to behave within your family, within your home, it is going to pay off tenfold when they're a little bit older, and you're going to have the beautiful dog you always wanted. But if you're not prepared to put in that time commitment and that time sacrifice when you bring your puppy home, that's when you're going to have a dog who is naughty, who isn't well behaved, and a cavoodle who is going to be, just crippled by anxiety. They're going to restrict your ability to leave the house. And then you're not going to be able to take them out in public because they'll be reactive on the lead in public because of their anxiety. And you'll have a really hard dog for 15 years. So the biggest misconception about cavoodles is that they're easy. They are not easy. A puppy is always a time commitment and a sacrifice of that time. But they become easy if you follow the right training plan for your cavoodle that does set them up for success, that is designed specifically for this breed who is so prone to anxiety, and any anxiety-related behavioral issues are really difficult to overcome. And they're really, really restrictive on a family. There's no worse feeling than not being able to leave the house without your puppy or your older cavoodle being so completely distressed, but then not being able to take your cavoodle out of the house, because if you take them out of the house, as soon as they see people, bikes, cars, dogs, they bark, they might growl, they might lunge, and that's because of their anxiety. There's nothing worse than that restriction, and then dealing with that for 15 years and not being able to live out the dream lifestyle you have in your head when you're getting a dog, which is to have a best friend who you can involve in your life really easily. So choosing the right training plan, following the right schedule, and then being prepared for that time commitment initially is really important before getting your dog. So don't be under the misconception that cavoodles are easy. Long term, they definitely are easy, but only if you're willing to put the hard work in for the first few months when you are shaping your cavoodle's behavior. Now, from 3 to 12 weeks of age, your cavoodle is in the biggest stage of development they will ever be in. It's called their critical socialization period. And during this time, your puppy hasn't yet matured enough within their mind to be able to process fear or danger or something they should be a bit hesitant over. And what this means is it gives you a really, really amazing special time in your puppy's life where you can mold their perception of different things in the world to be really positive while they're between 3 to 12 weeks of age. And if you can do this and you make sure that they believe doggy doors are safe, people are friendly, cars are nothing, to be scared of, other dogs are nothing to be nervous around, being alone is fine and not to be scared when they're alone, and you teach them that the crate's really safe and that they can sleep in their crate and it's their little bedroom. During this time, if you do actively every single day, do the right activities to shape their behaviors and their attitudes around everything in your lifestyle, that's when you can build the confidence within your cavoodle, and that's when you can ensure they're not going to suffer anxiety and they're not going to have long-term behavioral issues. And that's from 3 to 12 weeks of age. After 12 weeks of age, your puppy, their brain matures, they develop, and then now they automatically have a bit of hesitancy over new things. They're a bit more nervous. They're less curious, less likely to go and explore things, and it's really easy for them to develop some really deep-rooted fears and anxiety over different sounds, different people, different places, different dogs, and that's when you can have a really anxious cavoodle. So from 3 to 12 weeks of age, this is the most influential time in your puppy's entire life that you have to really shape their demeanor and their personality. And when you pick your puppy up at 8 weeks of age, they only have 4 weeks left in this critical socialization period. So from 8 to 12 weeks, the very first month with your puppy, this is the most important time in your puppy's life to be training them every single day with intention and making sure that you are doing absolutely everything you can to build their confidence and show them that everything in your life, everything in your home, everything in your world is safe, nothing to be scared of, and nothing to be anxious about. And if you can do this in the first month with your puppy while they're still in their critical socialization period, you have set them up for some amazing success, and you will have a cavoodle who is so much less likely to develop those long-term behavioral issues. And during this time, this is also when you develop a really good bond and the ability to communicate with each other. So you teach your puppy how to ask you for certain things. You teach them how to communicate with you, and then you learn how to communicate to them. And then once all of their needs are met, and when your puppy is in a very nice routine that checks off all of their needs every day, your puppy is not going to do any boredom-led naughty puppy behaviors like chewing on your couch, biting your toes, barking at you, digging in the backyard. They're not going to do any attention-seeking behaviors, which is the exact same thing. They bark at you, they chew things, and they have excessive energy, and they never settle down, and they are just really, really hard work. So for 8 to 12 weeks of age, this is your puppy's critical socialization period. The plan that you have to train them is so important during this time. The fact of the matter is that this is a developmental period for your puppy. There's nothing you can do to slow it down. So once they get out of that period of development, once the 12 weeks comes by, you'll never get it again. And so if you're getting your puppy and you're not having a training plan in place, and you do not have a very specific schedule to be following every day to really maximize your results out of it, it's too late. You're not going to get it back again. And all of the training you'll do after 12 weeks will be twice as hard. It'll take twice as long to get results. And you usually never get the same results you would have gotten when they are between 3 to 12 weeks of age and in their critical socialization period. So what I have gone ahead and done is because I've raised so many cavoodles, and that they are my entire job and my entire life, really. I'm just surrounded by cavoodles. I have created my Cavoodle Puppy Planner, which is a 4-week daily training schedule program for families to follow with their cavoodles when they first bring them home. So in this in the Cavoodle Puppy Planner program, you have 4 weeks of the exact schedules I use on my own cavoodles, so that you can follow them from 8 to 12 weeks of age when you first bring your puppy home, to make sure you really are utilizing every single day in your puppy's critical socialization period, and you can be left with the confidence knowing you have done the best you can to raise your puppy and give them the best start in life, and the confidence to know how to address the different behaviors your puppy will show throughout their life. So when your puppy does try and bite you, why did they bite you? How do I address this? If your puppy is crying when you're leaving the room, why are they crying? How do I address this? And it gives you all of the knowledge to understand Cavoodles and how they think, how they learn, and how to provide to your puppy throughout their life. And so with this Cavoodle Puppy Planner program, it is only for Cavoodles. It is specific to Cavoodles, and the training in it is specific to reducing the likelihood of you experiencing anxiety-related behavioral issues from your Cavoodle. So this training program isn't suited to every dog out there. It's for Cavoodles. It's taking into consideration that anxiety is one of the major issues surrounding this breed. It's something that a lot of Cavoodles suffer from. So the training done for those 4 weeks is all about increasing their confidence and reducing that anxiety so that your puppy isn't going to restrict your life, and so that your puppy is content and calm and happy within your home. Now, if you are getting a Cavoodle puppy, I know we are getting closer and closer to Christmas. I always recommend to families to join my Cavoodle Puppy Planner program as far in advance as possible to when you bring your puppy home. Simply because the more that you prepare for your puppy when they are before you bring them home, the easier the transition period will be when you bring them into your home. If you haven't prepared for your puppy and you bring them home and you're not following the right toilet training schedule, you're not desensitizing them to the crate, you're not communicating to them properly, you're not reacting properly when they try and bite you or they lick you or they bark at you, that's when you can start forming these really hard little habits in your puppy, and it's much harder to reverse these. So preparing for your puppy, the more preparing you do for your puppy, the easier the transition period will be, because as each little, I guess, not problem during the day, but every little behavior during the day as it arises when you first bring your puppy home, you'll know exactly how to address it. And as part of my Cavoodle Puppy Planner program, there's the 4 week of daily training schedules, but then there is a big section, a big module all about preparing for your puppy, learning about why they have anxiety, learning about how to build their confidence, learning about what socialization actually needs to look like. And, you know, as a little spoiler, it doesn't mean playing with other dogs and meeting lots of people. That's not socialization. So the planning work before you bring your puppy is so, so important. So if you are bringing a Cavoodle home, maybe in the next couple of months, definitely go into the show notes of this podcast episode and have a look at the Cavoodle Puppy Planner program. And if you have any questions about it, you are more than welcome to send me an email, hello@oodleway.co, and I am happy to share some more information on whether it's suited for you. But try and join as far in advance as possible for when you bring your puppy home, because that's going to make even more difference to how, I guess, smooth the transition to getting a puppy will be. One final note I will say is I know everyone listening to this podcast really loves these episodes and appreciates hearing all of these different topics relating to Cavoodles and a bit of coaching advice within all of that. With my Cavoodle Puppy Planner program, for the 4 weeks of daily schedules that you follow while your puppy is in that critical socialization period, you also get to come and join me in a online Q&A meeting, and you can ask me any questions you have about your Cavoodle, and I will give you personal advice depending on whatever the question is. So the support is there. I become your personal Cavoodle puppy coach for the first month. You get to ask me your questions every week in those Q&As, and you get to follow the exact daily schedules I use on my own Cavoodles. So I really hope to see some of you in my Cavoodle Puppy Planner program. The sooner you join, the easier a puppy will be. But remember, it's easy in the way that you know how to address all of the behaviors they show. It's not easy where you don't do any work. A puppy is work. The training commitment is a time sacrifice, but it all pays off in the end after a few months if you are doing the training suited specifically to Cavoodles and reducing their anxiety and building their confidence, which will remove those behavioral issues. Okay, so that's it for this episode. I really enjoyed chatting to you today about the biggest misconception about Cavoodles, which is that they are easy dogs. They're not. They require work, they require training, but they'll be easy in the long run if you do it correctly. I will see you next week in the next episode, and I hope you are all enjoying all of the Christmas festivities, and we'll speak one more time before the new year. So see you next week. This has been your Cavoodle coach, Tiana Karamayas. I will see you later.